Horse show here today, and apparently we are going to do some dancing afterwards. Anyway, they even turned on the fountain for us. Okay, this is where we are. It's horse breeding place off Cambridge, near a place called Rotorua. So here we are, all expectant of things to come.
That just wakes you up? That's very good. Sorry about that. Okay, my name is Lee Somerville and I'm your ringmaster for today. And my apologies because of my leg here. I did an Achilles tendon about 10 weeks ago, so it is very much restricting my riding on the horses at the moment. So for this part of the show I will be on foot, but there will be plenty of riders coming in. Welcome to Cambridge Thoroughbred Lodge, and also special welcome to our Morris dancers. This is a wonderful group. Some of you that are from the outside of this group, we have some people from France here, that's lovely, and from local ones around New Zealand. But the Morris dancers, just for you who don't know, they're from all over New Zealand, and we even have some Australians here. We're amongst the group. Yes, lovely to have you here. Sorry about the cricket, but you know, you can't help it. That's okay. New Zealand's not going much better. So it's lovely to have you all here, and we're a bit privileged. Those who are not at the Morris Dancers, the Morris Dancers have agreed just to give us a little exhibition at the end of our horse show so you can see what Morris dancing is all about. So that's we'll get the dancing horses here. Now you saw me crack the whip when I came in. When you hear that crack, that is actually the whip is breaking the sound barrier. That is, the whip is one of the first man-made instruments, if you like, that actually breaks the sound barrier. And it's not too hard to do. You can do it left-handed or right-handed or both together with good luck. And it makes quite a loud sound, but sorry, we don't want to frighten you. There's nothing to be frightened of. And I'll show you shortly how you can educate a horse not to be concerned about the cracking of a whip, because the whip can be quite frightening, obviously, to a horse or any animal, cats or dogs. Now, if there's any of you that are whip crackers here, so you can try cracking the whip. It's not so hard to do. In fact, once you can crack a whip, it's amazing how you can get a lot of authority. It's quite easy. Just the crack is just a little hit of the wrist like that. Have we got someone to try? We nearly always have volunteers just to come and try and crack a whip. Yes, come on. They can come. I knew some Morris dance. I knew an Australian would be able to crack the whip. That's okay. We'll show you. I love that bell button. Kimi. Okay, here we go. The idea is to keep your arm straight, because if you bring your arm in, it brings the whip close to you and you don't want it. So it's just a flick of the wrist, so we're just going just like that. So your arm straight, but just the wrist going. That's right. Just like that little flick. You'll be okay. I'll get out of your way because I haven't got any insurance. Okay. That's it. Good man. Good, that's it. You can stop now. You've done very well. Thank you. That's very good. Okay. You've cracked the whip before? I think you have. Okay, we'll start off that way. What do you want to do the proper way? You can try, okay? Just put your arm up. Oh, yes. Very good. Yes. Just try arm straight, just a flick. That's okay. That's it. That's it. Okay, here comes Jose. Okay, Jose. Now, Jose has been written by Alexis, and she is from South Africa, and she and her family are here on the property and helping us out with the show today. So, Jose is a special New Zealander because he is a Kaimanawa. Now, the Kaimanawa is the New Zealand wild horse, chestnut very well. I had him about 7 years. He was the Karapiro, of course, came out originally. The horses from England, the British troops came out here for the Maori Wars. They were liberated at the national park down near Taupo, and they became known as the Karapiro because the mountain range at the back of the national park is called the Karapiro. This fellow's name is Jose, and he is about 12 years old now. And in a moment, this is more show. If you want to come down and say good day to the horses, pet them, that's all part of it. So, okay. So this horse, his name is Jose. If you just come, when you've got a moment, if you come around and just show us what he can do, Alexis, that'll be lovely. And we'll show you that this fellow, if you remember the movie Lord of the Rings, right? I was a bit lucky. I was one of the horse trainers on Lord of the Rings for nearly 2 years. And Jose was there with me, and he is a very good horse. He was part of the 70 horses we had on Lord of the Rings, and he didn't get himself in the movie, unfortunately. That's very good. Just stand there. Oh, good boy. Good. Good. Okay. Very good. He's a good boy. That's good. Okay. We have done what we call desensitizing of the horses. That's nothing like with drugs or anything. It's just repetition of doing things like cracking the whip. And on the movie Lord of the Rings, there was a lot of times when the actors are on the horses. We had about 70 horses that were what we call the hero horses. And of course they appeared on set with all their actors on, Sir Ian McKellen, Viggo Mortensen, Liv Tyler. Those were all some of the main actors. And often they were left sitting on a horse at a time when Peter Jackson might say, cut, and you wait, and so there's no filming for maybe 10 minutes or sometimes an hour. And so the ADs or the assistant directors would rush out with their umbrella and put it up like that. Now you can see there was no reaction from this horse at all. But those of you who know horses, an umbrella is a very scary thing. And so we spent literally hours, many days of the week, just practicing with the umbrella and opening and shutting, because once they get used to it, that is quite frightening to a horse if it hasn't seen that before. That's a good point. Good. So when I say about desensitizing, it's really just repetition training, just continually doing it until they know there was no problem. Because on set, when we had the actors on board, we didn't want any accidents. When you're filming on a big movie like that, it was nearly $2,000 a minute. We had a budget of $600 million for the 3 movies, but by the end of the time that the movies were out in the public, they've already grossed $2.4 billion. So they've made a lot of money out of that movie. And now with the Hobbit coming on, that'll be good. I'm waiting to see if I get a call. So the Karapiro, here's a lovely example of the Karapiro, and they have a unique feature, the Karapiro, because they've been on the national park, which is very rugged terrain, as most of you know. In the winter it's very, very cold, and in the summer it gets very hot. But they've adapted well, and they have an enzyme in their stomach which enables them to digest what would normally be quite poisonous foods. So they can digest things like the red berry and ragwort and that sort of thing, which would make other horses very, very sick. So here's a lovely example of the Kaimanas. I've actually broken in quite a few Kaimanas in my time, and they do become very good saddle bronc horses. Oh, sorry. Good boy. He knows. He's good. Okay, thank you. You're a very good audience, because the horses do love hearing your clapping, because that makes them know that they've done their job right. Now this one we're going to give a big clap. Oh. That applause was for the horse and the rider. This is young Taylor. She's only 5 years old, and she is following the footsteps of her mother, who was a very good female jockey. This horse is called Rough Habit, as you can see on on his saddle cloth. He was twice voted New Zealand champion racehorse of his year. He's 24 years old now, and when he was racing, he's just a lovely racehorse. He represented New Zealand in Japan, America, and Australia. And the lovely story about Rough Habit is that he was purchased for $1,200 as a yearling, and he went on and won $5.2 million. So he is a multi-millionaire earner. And it is very good luck if you have a chance just to bet Rough Habit, because we have the lottos here, and if you can bet him and go and get a lotto ticket afterwards, you may win $1 million. So this horse, when he was racing, and that was about 12 years ago, to win $5.2 million was a huge amount. And of course, if it was on today's stake money, it would be more than twice that amount. Come and say hello to Ruff. He's a very good boy. He's a lovely temperament. The good thing about these horses that you're seeing today, this fellow is a gelding, so of course he cannot be bred from, but it's good that he has a home here after his racing career is finished. Otherwise he would probably just be spending his time in a paddock somewhere and no one would really see him. But he has a big fan base here and in Australia, particularly in Australia. That's good. Particularly in Australia, he won 3 Stradbroke handicaps and 2 Brisbane Cups, which is the premier racing in Queensland. In fact, he was so famous in Queensland that they printed a postage stamp in his honour, and he has a stamp printed. And also, just outside of Brisbane, there is a bar there that they call the Rough Habit Bar. So you're looking at a very famous New Zealand racehorse, won 29 races. And in the language of the horse racing, the Group 1 race is the highest standard of racing anywhere in the world. If you win a Group 1 race, that is very good. If you can win one Group 1 race, that is a wonderful achievement. Rough Habit won 11 Group 1 races. The S stands for Sovereign Lodge, where this horse was born. And Sovereign Lodge is down near Levin. So straight away we know where he was born. And of course these brands were put on when the horse was only 5 months old. So they're over 24 years old, these brands. And on this side, on his right side, you can see he has got numbers 49/6. I'll just bring him around here, but we'll just bring around. That's right, good girl. 49/6. Okay, the 49 just means he was the 49th foal to be born in Sovereign Lodge that year. But the 6, the bottom number, that is the last digit of the year he's born. And in his case, he was 1986. So if you do your maths right, you'll see that he's 24 years old. But also as a backup to those brands, they now have a microchip. It's a little microchip about half the size of your little fingernail, and that is embedded in their neck. Just give me more. This one, we show you this horse here, Excellent, okay? They call him Excellent by name and Excellent by performance. We're just showing you him because he's another example of a thoroughbred, a racehorse, and just the difference in type between him and Rough Habit. Rough Habit is a bit of a rough diamond, if you like. He's not a handsome type horse that the normal classic thoroughbred is. But this fellow, Excellent, he was unfortunately only had 12 starts. He won 8 of them, but he also won over $2 million. As you'll see by the sash around his neck, he won the Celt Capital Stakes, which is run in Hastings, and at that time it was worth $1 million. He won our Derby, which is the epitome of racing for 3-year-olds. When they can win the Derby, that is the height of excellence. So he was well named. Would you like? We'll just hang on to it together. That's good. We'll take the cover off. I'll just show you. This fellow is more what we'd say the classic thoroughbred. He's only 9 years old. But he's got a different physique to Rough Habit, and yet there's the contrast. He's a really glamorous looking horse, but he's won $2 million. There was Rough Habit that was a bit quite plain, but he's won $5.2 million. So this fellow was trained throughout his career by the Moroney's, Mike and Paul Moroney at Matamata, and he only had the 12 starts, won 8 of them. But he was third in the Melbourne Cup of 2005 to the great mare Cambridhe. Where were you from? Are you from? Here's what happened with him. Unfortunately, he broke down in this tendon first, and he had the tendon implants in here. Just walking and this one, and so that was repaired, and he came back after a long spell and won 3 more races, but then unfortunately he went in the other one. So he's had stem cell surgery in both his legs, and it actually saved his life. So that was really good. So that's why he does look a little bit short. We don't ride him now, but you can see he's in good order. He loves the life here. It's better than just wasting away in the paddock. Okay, good boy. This is Christopher Barnes, okay. And Christopher loves coming into the show. He's a good boy. Okay, good boy. So this is a standard breed, right? There's 2 types of standard breeds, the Trotters and the Pacers. This fellow is a Pacer. The Pacers are the ones that have all the gear on. They have the hobbles on and an overcheck here and all these bits of gear that stop their legs going too far forward when they're going at big speed. You can see how he puts his tongue out like that? He's not being rude to you, he's just saying that's his way of saying hello. He's got one of the biggest tongues you've ever seen on a horse, and he just likes putting it out the side. Walk up, good boy, walk up. That's a good boy. Okay. Yes, you'll see, he'll put his tongue out. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. So part of the gear that they have for these Pacers, here we have an overcheck, right? If I take this off, he'll just drop his head and relax there. That's a good boy. But if he did that in a race and drops his head when he's going very fast, this is tongue. If he did that in a race, he would get off balance, and he would do what they call a break in the race, and they say, oh, so-and-so is broken up, and then they have to be restrained by their driver and brought back into stride again. Now, I'll just try and show you sort of leg and all. If you can imagine, he's a character, this horse.
Are you sure he wasn't crossed with a snake?
That's right. He's got it's very good. I'll just show you this in a minute. Okay, mate, good boy. You don't see many horses with a tongue long like that one.
Does he do that even when he doesn't have a
Yeah. He just does it to play. And in fact, we one time before the Rugby World Cup 4 years ago, we had some of the All Blacks here, and they were quite impressed by Christopher Barnes, the way he could put his tongue out. And I think they wanted to have him in their haka, but we couldn't do that. Now, I'll try and give you a rendition of the difference between a Pacer and a Trotter, right? The Pacers, you can stop. The Pacers, they move with their legs on the same side, front and back on the same side. So if you imagine I've got 4 legs, they move like that, okay? The Pacers go front and back on the same side. But the Trotters, and every horse trots naturally, the Trotters move diagonally, the front and back on the other side, so they just look that way. So he thinks that's very funny when I do it. He can do it a lot better. You want to see if we can just go around there?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Surely the Pacers that go like...
Yeah.
That's a very unnatural way to walk for any creature. How do you train them to
It is.
do this?
They do train them, but they've been doing it so long now that some of them are actually getting bred to do it. You know, it's been going on for 50, 60 years now. And the pacing is actually quicker than trotting. That's why they don't have the 2 mixed in the same race. Pacers go faster than trotters. These guys can go nearly 60 k's an hour, well over 50 k's an hour. When you're sitting behind them and they're whizzing along, it's a pretty exhilarating feeling. Now at the back here we have the sulky, or the cart. And this one, of course, as you can see, is a dual-seater sulky. So 2 people can sit in here. And this is actually good for training of the apprentice driver. If you have a young driver who goes with the experienced driver, they can sit in here, go out on the track with 5 or 6 other horses and learn how to pass on the inside or the outside, depending on the case. Because as you can see, the cart or the gig is twice as wide as the horse. And so if you're trying to pass on the inside against the rail, it is not very easy to do. You like to Now, just while you can see on his neck here, the trotters are identified just like you saw on Rough Habit. They have their brand, but it's on the neck. And this white brand, I'll just bring it around here so you can see. This is done with liquid nitrogen, and it freeze brands the skin so that it's with them for the rest of their life. So that is identifying the year he was born and where he was born. But also these horses now have that microchip in their mane as well. So there's always two ways of identifying a horse. I don't know whether you remember, but in Brisbane, a long time ago, they had a case called the Five Button Affair, where they substituted a very good horse for a very ordinary horse, and it wasn't discovered until, unfortunately, some of the black paint they put over the white markings washed off when they came in, so the scheme was unfolded, and now you couldn't do that because the horses, when they go to the races, they're identified by their brands and by that microchip.